Welcome to the FMCG Guys podcast, live from Toronto, specifically at the Retail Media Event Canada. If you're listening to this podcast, you can also watch it on YouTube. So you can just follow the link on the show notes or on our website to find the video interview. And today, I've spoken with a lot of people, but right now I'm sitting down with Cyndi Loza, who's the Managing Director for Member Content at the Path to Purchase Institute, who are the organizers of the event. Hi.
Hi, it's great to thanks for having me.
Not at all. Thanks for joining. How was the event?
It was great. You never know if it's, people are going to show up. Obviously, there's enthusiasm here in Canada, and we knew that, but we're like, was this going to be sold out, or are we going to meet capacity? But you were here, you saw the crowd, you saw that we had to get extra chairs out.
Tell me about it. I went into the room late, and I couldn't find a spot. So
I know.
I ended up working one out. But goodness, it was pretty full.
So for us, it was a good problem to have.
Yeah. So what's your role at the Path to Purchase Institute?
So my role, I work with a really talented team. I have to give a shout out to our really...
I can say that that's true.
Yeah, for sure. With and my team of editors too, that they're great. They're always kind of behind the scenes. My day-to-day is obviously writing and editing, but I'm also the retail media analyst at the company. So I do a lot of presentations, help produce the research reports, and then also get the word out there about them.
Yeah, Little Bird told me that you were just interviewed by the CPG guys.
Yes.
So we will have to add that to the show notes as well. Sure. If anyone wants to learn more, I think that you spoke about some report that you recently did.
So we spoke about our trends report. So for the past really almost 30 years, we've been doing a trends report annually to kind of examine and look at the major issues affecting CPG brand companies. And obviously retail media is a big part of that. So for the past 5-6 years, we've included several questions related to retail media, and I was just really excited to talk about them. So he gave his 2 cents about them.
And the date of today, it's not released yet, so I can't say how good the interview was.
Yes.
But probably by the time we release this, it will. So that's why the link will be in the show notes. Peter's always good to hang out with, Tell me, so I saw you speaking at the UK Retail Media event, but we didn't meet, but we met today. Yeah. That was the first time you did the UK event.
Yes.
We talked a lot about that.
Yes.
And this is the first time you do the Canada event, right? So why have you done the Retail Media Summit for Canada specifically? Because one could think, why don't you just do a North America one with the US and Canada?
Yeah. So I will say that, so first of all, for those that don't know, the Path to Purchase Institute is a member organization and a publication. And we have been serving the commerce marketing community for, as I mentioned, over 30 years. And we do this through a variety of ways. We do in-person events, we have share groups, we have newsletters, we have our magazine, our B2B magazine, and also p2pi.com, where we host thousands of images of in-store, digital, and we also do case studies, field reports, just so much, and also look at really the marketing and merchandising activity of several retailers, and that's now in the UK, in Canada, and in the US. And one thing that I will say is, because we've always been so hyper-focused on their marketing and merchandising activity, retail media is something that didn't escape us. So we leaned in really early and created and stood up the first Retail Media Summit. If you can believe it, when we first did it, we're like, will people show up? We knew it was exciting.
When was that?
This was I was maybe a couple years ago now, but we were the first to go to market.
It was still a concept that was nascent at the time.
Yes. And then it was sold out, again, really well attended. It's every year it's sold out. And just building on that excitement, we're like, retail media isn't something that the US owns alone. Clearly it's a global, right? So we're like, let's just, partner with someone, our partners we partnered with SMG. Mm-hmm. We stood up the Retail Media Summit UK. You were there. Really nice, really well attended too. And we're like, let's bring it to Canada as well, just building on that momentum. And clearly it was well received and well attended. And we're really excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the audience that listens to us, that's in Europe, for example, or even in the US, that don't really understand the particularities of Canada, that they will see actually as we release the interviews that I've done here. I think they'll learn more and more about the Canadian market. But what would you say makes Canada different?
That's like a hard, kind of like I'm trying to think of what kind of question. I know that when we did it in the UK, one thing that kind of came as far as with the UK is just the in-store digitalization. I'm definitely gonna, while I'm here, it's my first time in Toronto, I'm gonna do some store visits and see what they're doing there in there too. But I think that, I guess when we go to a new market, we just always learn about the intricacies, right?
Yeah. What I heard from people today is that the US developed quicker than Canada. Also, Canada has more restrictive or more regulated data policies.
Data, yeah.
So in the US, they developed a lot of retail media online. Europe had very strong in-store media without calling it retail media for a long time, obviously. Right. And now Canada has the opportunity of kind of catch up on both at the same time. Whereas the US, they feel like they have to take a bit of a U-turn.
Yeah, so that's a good way of putting
that. That was an interesting observation.
That they're kind of just kind of gaining insights from both of how both countries in the UK and the US started.
Yeah. And because it's interesting, no? Because Canada and the US, again, when you see it from the outside, it seems like a monolithic block, but it's obviously not.
Right.
No?
Yeah.
Like here, one of your partners, Loblaws, is a Canada-only retailer, for example.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one. So looking at retail media as a whole, you lead it, so you have to know this. What's the state of affairs right now in retail media, and where do you think it's headed to in terms of like what's the next frontier for retail media?
Oh man, so I will say that we hear a lot about, we just did the trends report, and I will like pull that from that information, and I know that like when we polled a lot of CPG brand marketers on what they think is the next frontier, a lot of them pointed to omni-channel audience tracking. And they also pointed to things like AI technology and shoppable video content and personalization and in-store digitalization as well. So I will say that that's kind of like the next frontier, what they thought and what we've been seeing as well. As far as like, I will just add too that, looking at the trends report too, is that a lot of retailers are dealing with, a lot of CPG brands are dealing with more retailer media networks than ever before. And so juggling so many and navigating so many retailer media networks, obviously a standardization is always something that,
That's one of the big words right now, isn't it? What about like, what type of pain points do you see for brands and retailers in terms around retail media right now?
Really, when we hear from our brand community, we always hear about challenges with sharing data, and I will point to, when one of the recent research reports that we did, a lot of people pointed to, and I will look at my notes, really we asked about kind of retail media accelerators, it's like, so we asked, what would accelerate your investment in retail media? Mm-hmm. And they pointed to things like, delivering higher ROI compared to other channels and improved insights from retail media networks and the ability to measure upper funnel metric, impacts. So I think those are kind of like the pain points that they're navigating. And like I said, so many retailer media networks. Yeah,
and for the on the retailer side, is the pain point only the brand's pain points in terms of like what's holding them back, that they're held back by things, or are there things internally for retailers that you also think are pain points?
I will say that once you stand up a network, like there's some networks that are pretty mature, and then there's some that are kind of are really recent. That I don't know if it's a pain point, but once you stand up a network, you're kind of compared against the rest, and which are have a longer journey in retail media. So that might be something.
Yeah, like differentiation. Yeah. Or what makes a retail media network special versus another. Yeah, no, that's true. And how do you see like retail media as a full funnel value proposition?
Yeah, so I would say that, when you think about retail media, well, and it's true, you kind of think of like the final touch point, But I think there is an opportunity to leverage retailer media networks to drive awareness and engagement. And you were at the Retail Media Summit UK, and that's when we did some research there. And we've done research here in the US when we asked consumers, when we polled consumers, and what they told us that majority of shoppers that we spoke to said that they seek out a brand after seeing in store, after seeing their ad online. So I just feel like that just speaks to kind of engaging with shoppers across the journey, and also the importance of a holistic omni-channel campaign.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks so much, Cyndi, for sitting with me and also for having me here at the event. I had a lot of fun.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for joining, man. Thanks for inviting me.